Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be completely clear here. Like, some of you may have known of Goblin Bikers, but I have not really seen them being used much. For the duels I have played, I have seen them very, very interestingly decent on controlling the board. But when I know we just got some new additions to the Goblin Biker support, but now they're just so crazy. It's mental. I don't know, maybe it's a deck I build in the future, maybe it won't be, I'm not too sure. Blue Eyes at the moment, we managed to hit Diamond 1. Mate, Diamond 1 is Tempai, literally Tempai, Fiendsmith Engine, and then you've obviously got Goblin Bikers. Anyways, let's get into this. I only have one duel replay, so I hope you guys enjoy and you can kind of see the kind of power it has behind it, especially going first. Let's get into it. This is the deck build that was used against me from my opponent. How expensive it is questionable. You got some super rares for Dug Charger. You obviously got the Clatter, which is rare, super rare. Fiendsmith Engine. The Goblin Biker Gone Wild, which I think is the new addition, obviously, to the support, is obviously UR. I'm going to be honest. When it comes into the Z Armored and then into Ray Lancer, leading into the one and only Full Armor Dark Knight Lancer, it's terrifying. It genuinely is. I didn't realize my camera wasn't on. I apologize. But the biggest concern is this. Goblin's Crazy Beast. So once per turn quick effect, you can target one spell or trap on the field, detach 2 materials from a monster on the field, and if you do, attach that target to discarded material. As a Blue Eyes player, it's hard. True Light gets activated. They target it, detach 2, be able to equip it to their monster. Taking that into account, they do have graveyard effects where if there is a card, once per chain, during the main phase of this card in your hand or graveyard, you can detach material and special summon this card. There is another play where they could, yeah, it's this one. So you can, it's all about detaching and obviously stealing your opponent's cards to equip. But there is, I think, this one will allow you to add the Goblin Striker spell or trap. But there is one where that can special summon from the graveyard. And I'm sorry, I don't know this deck massively full on through. It's something I would want to learn. So once per, you can detach. There is one where you can special summon from the graveyard. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's from the deck then. Because obviously if you control a monsters or all monsters you control a goblin, you can normal summon this card without tribute. You don't really care as much about that, but if this card is normal special summon, you can special summon a level 4 or lower goblin from your deck, which would like, obviously Gone Wild would be able to special summon into this, for example. But ideally it plays really well. I'm just going to get into the replay. There's the deck build for you. Like I said, obviously I don't know it massively. It was I promoted to Diamond 1, lost to Tempai, lost to Fiendsmith Engine, and then was against Goblin Biker, and I lost again. I think it's 4. I think you do 3 matches, and then demotion's the 4th, and Goblin Biker was the 4th. But anyway, here we go. I was thinking, shit, no hand traps. Obviously, we got a Veiler, which is great. Called by the Grave is not really what you want in your hand on a second to go. I was thinking, shit, Fiendsmith Engine. Fiendsmith Tract comes into play. They didn't even play that off. I thought, oh, okay, they're going to play into a Punk. Well, maybe this is where I'm going to hit, because I'm thinking, okay, it must be Punk Fiendsmith. Which is interesting. So the Psychic Effect triggers. This leads in to be able to add a Punk Trap from your deck to your hand. I affect Veiler, thinking, okay, no worries. It's a bait. You know, either way it does play out effectively. But now, they can normal summon their Goblin Biker, which is Boom Mock, to play into Goblin Biker Big Gabongo. So, Big Gabongo. So if this card is 60 summoned, you can add 1 goblin monster from your deck to your hand. If a material is detached from a monster on the field during the damage step, you can target 1 face-up monster on the field, accept this card, attach it to this card's material. Already a snatch. And then also, during the end phase, you can attach 1 goblin monster from your deck to this card as material, which obviously when you detach, you can trigger the effect by it going to the graveyard, which is mad. So they're able to add the goblin. Trigger the effect, so detach from the XE to special summon. By special summoning, you can add a spell or trap from the deck. Activating the spell card to tribute summon the goblin to special summon. Leading into Gone Wild, special summoning from the deck into a Clatter Sploder. Into the XE Armor Torpedo. Basically, This is an extra draw mechanic. I ran it in Light and Darkness when I was running that deck. So you can detach 2 to draw 1 card. Most people tend to run this engine in some of their decks. But yeah. Leading into the Armored Fortress. Detaching 2 to add 2 armor, XE, spell or traps. And I was like, man, how am I going to play around this? But it gets crazier when it reaches my turn. Into full armored Crystal Zero Lancer. Activate and track to be able to add the Fabled Lurie. Dropping the Fabled Lurie, which would trigger into a special summon. Obviously, by having the Goblin Biker on the field, it's a level 6. Which means one thing. You now have 2 level 6s on the field. And I'm like, whoa. Beansmith Engraver comes out. Leading in to Goblin Crazy Beast. So, you already have, if a material is detached from a monster on the field, you can tag one face a monster on the field and slip this card, attach its material. You don't even have to use the effect here, because you can detach this to negate, well, target a spell or trap. So you can tag one spell or trap on the field, detach 2 materials from a monster on the field, and if you do, attach that target to this card. So we've triggered the effect on a spell, let's say they activated Monster Reborn, for example. Trigger this, equip the Monster Reborn, trigger the effect. If they bring out a monster, you can pop the monster on field. And I'm like, damn. And then you can attach a monster as an overlay. Mate, Goblin Bikers are good. I ain't gonna lie. I thought, okay, right, we're going to try and bait this out. We're going to play around this, obviously, spell. If I go with the Link monster, we're going to get the field spell. If they negate the field spell, they attach the feed spell. They trigger that, they pop the monster. And we're like, shit. We got to play this smart. Okay. So we led in with the Spirit of the Eyes of Blue. Activated. I added Mausoleum of White. Mausoleum of White came out, which leads into the XZ play of Fuller Armored XZ, triggering the Crazy Beast to detach 2 to equip the field spell to the Goblin Crazy Beast, which then leads into the effect of the Big Gabonga. Big Gabonga triggers. I think I said earlier it destroys. I meant snatch. The deck's about snatching monsters. But this deck has massively been slept upon. Called by the grave to target the card in the graveyard. Don't have to worry about that. But then again, they have another trap to be able to rank up. Which is crazy because I did not realise the Diabolessa and the Goblin Bikers were a part of the same, like, lore. I had to think for a sec then. But yeah, that card looks crazy, man. It kind of reminds me of Wacky Racers. But yeah, and I was thinking, okay, well, how deep can this rabbit hole go? And then they brought out Troika. Troika, well, 3 or more XE materials attached to monsters on the field. Goblin monsters you control can attack directly. And I'm like, what? Offer the trap that ranks up to bring out a monster that can attack past everything. I triggered the trap card, reset. Wishes of the Eyes of Blue. We then discard our Maiden to be able to add. But yeah, man, I was just like, what more can we do here? Because once per turn... Wait, hold up, ready? Now you've got Troika. Once per turn, if a monster is normal special summon while this card is in your monster zone, you can target one of those monsters, detach one material from a monster on either field, and if you do, change the target monster's battle position. Which is crazy. Look at them, they're little rats. Okay. I thought Maiden can come out, but you know the worst part is? You can trigger the trap to target the Lancer, equip the back card, and now guess what? Once per turn, if an equip becomes equipped, you can attach one monster your opponent controls to discard as material. Every card they had out was snatching up monsters. And I was like, well, shit, we're done. We genuinely don't have a play here. And that wasn't even the worst part of it. They then activated it. I went True Light. I said, alright, cool. I can set a spell or trap. It ain't going to be good. I can't use it anyway, so I thought we'd go for Destruction. Realistically, it does fuck all. And then we activate Effect Veiler because we have nothing left to do, really. Or just hit double Effect Veiler. I suppose, yeah, you could have Effect Veilered that because then you could have prevented him from being able to target a card on the field. But I think the crazy part about it is the fact, 1, it's quick effect. 2, it doesn't even have to be face up. It could be a face down one. And I think Crazy Beast might be the better Goblin Biker. I ain't gonna lie. Because it's just a vicious circle. The Goblin Biker can trigger, target the trap, detach 2. Then you can trigger off any other Goblin Biker you've got. But yeah. And also, that's not the worst part of it. Look, snatched up. And then this can attack, increasing its attack furthermore. 11,800. It could be the best control deck there is. I don't know. Let me know what you think of Goblin Bikers. Do you run them? Or are you now considering running them? Take care. Peace.